Alright, so this is my week 9 weekly report, and this past week in our studio class we continued to work on our storyboards, and we started off the week with a silent critique where we split up as a class and each went our own separate ways to take a look at some of the videos of our classmates and report back to them a few of our comments. And this was a great way to get a little more diverse range of opinion and feedback on our work, so I really enjoyed that process, even though it was a little bit rushed, and perhaps that's just I took my time writing, but I didn't quite get to comment on everybody's the way I wanted to. But anyways, the main feedback that we received this week was focused on kind of people trying to figure out our story a little bit. And what happened was we received a lot of feedback from our early storyboards and kind of felt the need to revisit our initial idea and focus a little bit more on the changing work environment and where people are working from, and how there's a trend for people to work remotely and not necessarily be tied to the office like we were representing. So we went back and we rewrote a lot of our story, and I think what resulted from that process was more of a storyboard that was an explanation than a story, and it was almost diagrammatic in a lot of respects. So what people responded to was, they responded positively to the direction of the idea. I think they seemed to support the decision to change, but they also responded to the fact that our initial story was a little bit more about relationships and about these characters that we developed as a group, and part of that maybe came through just in the way the characters were represented. In our initial storyboard it was photographs of people in costumes, and then this time it was just stick figures on post-its. So that kind of got me thinking about the importance of our next steps in the project, in that whatever mode of production that we choose moving forward, we really need to keep in mind how that supports our story. And one of the dangers, I think, of this project, at least for me, has been to envision or imagine our finished story on the level of a Hollywood-produced film, and with perfect acting and wonderful camera angles and high quality just production value in general. But I think trying to keep in mind how we are going to produce this and what forms we are actually capable of making is actually going to be really important over the next 2 weeks, because if we have one thing in our minds and then we try and produce it with limited resources or materials or know-how, then we could wind up with something that looks almost comical or cute, and the focus will be actually on the representation rather than the story. So making sure that those two things really tie together well is going to be really important, and will be essential to doing justice to our concept. So that's where my head's at right now, and thanks for listening, and bye.